my name is Stacy. Today I just wanted to talk to you about comfrey and why you should have it in your garden. So this is what the leaves look like. Just wanted to show you. They're kind of fuzzy, but not soft really, kind of scratchy a little bit. Anyways, the reason this plant is so good to plant in your garden is it does two things. You can use it for medicinal purposes, or you can also use it to add nitrogen to the soil for your other plants. So when it comes to the nitrogen for your other plants, what I would do is I take the plant, I break it into pieces, put it in a 5-gallon bucket, add water, and let that sit for 24 to 48 hours, and then go ahead and water your plants with that the next day. And it's really great. It does make your plants grow bigger and stronger, and they look a lot healthier. The other thing that I like to do, of course, is with the medicinal, is I like to use this for bruises, or if you have strains or some kind of aching pain with your muscles. But I was reading up on this, and there are so many other ways or reasons you should use this. Apparently you can use it for mild burns, insect bites, and also arthritis. Now this plant, you don't want to take it internally. I know that some people do, and if they're following a certain protocol or being guided through the process with a nutritionist or herbalist, then it'll probably be fine. But Comfrey has a compound in it that can cause liver cancer. So you want to be careful about taking it internally, and since we don't really know how much it would take to cause liver cancer, or the duration of time that it would take to cause that problem, you might want to work through a professional in order to use that for that purpose. But putting it externally on your skin, it does wonderful things. So let me just tell you, when I had a friend who fell, and it was a terrible fall, and she ended up having some bruising on her face that looked very, well, not very good. So she ended up using this salve that had comfrey in it, and as I was talking to her, I gave her this salve. I said, go ahead and try this on your face and see if that helps. So she did, and as we're talking, I'm watching these bruises just completely go away during this 10-minute conversation, and I'm like, I can't believe this. And I told her, I said, you've got to go look in the mirror. So she did, and she was amazed too at what had happened, and she asked if she can keep it. Of course I let her. So it was great, but this stuff really does work. And there was another instance where one of my sons had dropped something heavy on his foot, and I ended up making a poultice with the comfrey leaves, and again, the bruising started to go away within 10 minutes. It was really a great, great kind of experiment. I'm sorry to say, but it was a good experience to see how this plant actually works. So, anyways, there was the other thing that you want to be cautious about. It's not just about taking it internally, but if you have an open wound, this stuff works so fast to cause your skin to close that it's recommended not to use it on an open wound, because if there's any bit of debris or any bit of dirt inside that wound that you're not able to see, it's going to close up over that, and it could cause an abscess or an infection of some kind. So it's just really kind of, just take those little precautions. No internal use, and not over an open wound. But once the wound has scabbed over, it's perfectly fine to use it on that at that point. So the ways that I use this is, first, this would be a compress. Now, how you would do this is you're going to break up the leaves if they're fresh and put them in a bowl or a cup of some kind. And the good thing about this is you can also use dried leaves. So if you collect them in the summertime and dry them out for winter use, you can also steep it into the hot water to make sort of a tea, and use that. So what you're going to do is you go ahead and you break up your leaves, or you use your dried herbs. You pour it into your container and pour over some hot water, and you're going to steep it into that tea form to where it starts to change the water a little bit of a color. And then you're going to dip a little cloth in there, and squeeze that out, but then you can go ahead and place it over the wound on a person or the injury. Okay, so that's just the compress. Now, if you want to do a poultice, this is something a little different, but quite similar actually, is I would take all the leaves. This does work better with fresh leaves, but you can also pre-make poultices and stick them in the freezer for later use. So, but to make this, you're just going to break up your leaves. You're going to put them in a jar. I prefer a taller jar because it does help. And then you're going to add a little bit of water, just enough to make it into a mush, you know, like this kind of stuff. So you've got this mushiness here. And I use my immersion blender, which I find to be very useful for this. You go ahead and stick it in the jar and just blend it up until you get this consistency. And you can put it on, I'm just using a paper towel right here, but you can use a cloth or you can use a piece of gauze. And you go ahead and fold it over and then place that over the wound. See, the juices are going to come through, so that's how you're just going to get that on you. The last thing that you can do, well, there's two things, but I'm not able to make a salve for you, not at this time. But this would be an infused oil. So if you're going to make an infused oil, which is one of the ingredients in the salve, or you can just use it as oil form, is you would just dry out your comfrey. Now the leaves have to be totally dry. If they're not dry and then you try and pour your oil into this, it's going to cause mildew to grow. So you're going to take dried leaves, break them up, put them in your jar, cover them with an oil of your choice. You can use coconut oil that's been melted, or you can use avocado oil or olive oil. And then you go ahead and just cover it and then just let that sit in your cupboard for about 4 weeks. And then you can use it as the oil. You can put the oil directly on the injury, or you can go ahead and, like I said, use this as one of your ingredients to make your salve. I hope that this helps. I hope that you decide to grow comfrey in your yard. I think it's a great plant. It doesn't really take over too much. You do want to kind of contain it. What I've done is I purchased one of those large metal rings on Amazon. I think it's about 4 feet across, and I just planted it in there because the root is going to go down deep and it's going to grow bigger, but they don't like take over like a blackberry plant or anything like that. So it's really kind of a nice plant to have though in your garden. And then, like I said, it's great to have. Oh, and you'll get about 3 to 4 cuttings of this in a season. So just keep using it. All right, thank you, and you have a nice day.